Okay, good morning, Karen. Good morning, Mary Morrissey and Company. Glad to be with you. This is me introducing myself, take two, or take three, actually. Now I was having some battery problems and some other things. This is going to be a short and more focused video than I produced yesterday, and hopefully will prove useful in helping you know me better so that you can help me more effectively get to where I want to go, to that place where I want to be. So, all right then. I am Canadian born, the son of Polish, Russian, and German immigrants that came to the country in the 20s to settle the West. That wave of Eastern European people that fled before the descent of the Iron Curtain and the enactment of the USSR. I'm a farm boy. The first 5 years of my life were spent on the farm in a very remote place. So my companions and my in the formative years, the things that made me what I am today are the horses and the cows and the pigs and the dogs and the cats and the animals of the farm, as well as the nature of my mother and my father and extended family. These are the influences that made me what I am today, or these are the influences that gave me the start to becoming what I am today. As a result of that, I grew up a meek and shy and unassertive boy that was picked on and bullied in school. I feared authority figures like police and teachers and bank managers. Even today, if I get pulled over by a cop, there's inside me a trembling, fearful place that I'm thinking the guy's going to get his gun out and shoot me dead rather than write me a ticket. It's very peculiar that I haven't gotten rid of this even today, 65 years later. It's weird. It's interesting. It's fascinating. Now, I finished school with a well-developed case of victimhood and fear of meeting people, not knowing what kind of people they were going to be when I met them. And this of course, has set the stage for the years that have followed. I even today still I prefer solitude. There's times where I just want to go away and hide in a corner someplace and just be by myself. I'm still sort of innately more comfortable by myself than with other people. I find fairly often being in the company of others to be a strain, I guess you would call it. After school, I left home in search of my fame and fortune. First in Toronto, where I thought I would land my dream job working in a recording studio where I'd be surrounded by two of my favorite things, which is music and electronics. That went on for about a year and a half, after which I lost interest in it. It didn't turn out to be what I was expecting it to be, and what I needed to do in order to make that a reality, I felt were things that were beyond my abilities at that time, so I just gave up on that. And kind of like the fox and the grapes, I walked away from it thinking, I'm not even all that sure I really wanted it in the first place. It was really a decision that was made under, that force of, when you're in your last years in high school, they tell you, what are you going to do with your life? I mean, you have to pick a vocation and get ready to go to college to get the education that is appropriate for the vocation of your choice, right? So, well, okay, I picked recording studio, and can I go now? And left it at that. So I wasn't even totally convinced that I really, really, truly was wanted to be someone working in a recording studio. A year and a half after I ended in Toronto, I decided, hey, time to move. There's nothing for me in Toronto. Where else am I going to go? And Montreal, just up the road, caught my eye. Often in the news in a very spectacular way. I said, hey, let's go check it out. So off to Montreal I went. A fascinating city, full of romance and full of joie de vivre. And people that spoke French. Like, oh, man, this is fascinating. It's all new stuff to me. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, and all these wonderful things mixed together with my Polish ethnicity proved to be an interesting experience for a while. Um, Having failed at choosing a vocation in Toronto, the question of the meaning of life and what I was supposed to do in my life was, on my mind, and I discovered there were colleges and they claimed to have answers to questions of a vocational nature and so on. So I went through that for a while, settled on geology or sciences as a possible vocation, thinking, well, I was born and raised in the bush. I'm very much a nature person, grew up in nature, so perhaps my vocation should be one that takes me to nature. So I pursued a 4 years worth of instruction at university level in geology. Got a job, went out working with mining companies, doing base and precious metals exploration and different things like that there. That went on for a while. I did a stint with the Quebec government, which saw me in the very northernmost tip of the province of Quebec, around Ungava Bay, in the high Arctic, polar bears, caribou, whatnot, and a completely different kind of world above the tree line that I found fascinating, which is all good, and different things came out of that. I developed an aptitude for working with computers, and there was a need of that coming back from the high north with the Quebec government, so they kept me on while I did some work translating some program code from one language to another, and that was all very satisfying kind of work, and I rather enjoyed that. Suddenly, in the middle of all that, my mother gets a hold of me and says, Dad's going in the hospital. He has to get his leg amputated. I don't know what we're going to do about this. And I could hear the sound of it in her voice. It was a desperate call. It was a call that says, Gary, we need somebody back here. We need a pair of hands. We need a little help. I don't know what you're doing. Okay. It hinted that if I could come back for an extended period of time, that would be most wonderful. I thought that would be a good idea, so I returned. I returned home in 1984. Shortly after that, I met my wife, Doris, and after a few years worth of courtship, we bought a trailer in the country. We got married, and a year after we got married, we were blessed with our first child, William, and there was to be 2 more children to follow after that in the years that followed. Now, me being a family man, I needed to do something about providing for my family. I had that family man pride in me. So I took various jobs that I thought would be, would provide a useful income. I worked in the forest products industry, cutting trees and skidding them to the road. I operated a bulldozer that built the roads. I drove the trucks that hauled the logs to town, all this kind of stuff. I also worked in an ag dealer, a farm equipment dealer for a while, doing accounting and reception and parts counter work. I even flipped steaks in a local steakhouse. And all these things left me, wanting more. So I decided, well, business ownership is where it's at, maybe. So we bought a car wash. Doris and I bought a car wash in 2007, and thinking, now we have, we'll make good money, we'll pay ourselves a good quality wage, our standard of living will rise, we'll have some place where we can put our children to work, and they can cut their teeth and try their wings on working out in the real world, in a sheltered environment, us being their employer. We could train them and prepare them for their life as adult citizens of the world, as we did, and so on. Well, me and my rather well-developed victimhood and my shyness and my quick tendency to, take someone's somewhat disagreeable interaction with me as an attack on me, as if they were picking on me, bullying me. I felt like a lot of undesirable things are happening to me, and when you do that kind of stuff in business, well, you put yourself at risk of losing customers, and that's exactly what has happened. And I consider myself damn lucky at this point that I haven't just plain outright totally just lost the business to bankruptcy. We still own it, debts are paid, and looking forward, we have the world at our feet, and it's going to be what we make of it. So, Mary Morrissey and Company, I'm looking to you guys now. Hopefully together we can get my head sorted out and make life the wonderful thing that I was hoping it would be all along. Looking forward to working with you. You all have a good day.